I'll admit it. I am a perfectionist. Just getting this YouTube channel relaunched has been a huge perfectionism struggle. Even the words get stuck in my mouth. I always strive to deliver high quality work and I like to over deliver. It is a drag because then I procrastinate and don't create as much as I could and as fast as I could. Elizabeth Gilbert said that perfectionism is just fear in really good shoes. Now, I happen to love shoes and really good shoes, but still, I don't want to be afraid. I must agree. And that's exactly it. Perfectionism is just fear, a four-letter word. In this video, I'm going to share with you what I have done to stop overthinking and start doing. Growing up, my perfectionism wasn't actually a drag. It was a very positive trait that benefited me greatly in school and helped me get good grades from the day I started school until I graduated from high school. It wasn't until I was in university that I noticed that my perfectionism wasn't such a positive trait. I felt I had to read every single book, every single chapter, and every single word to be a good student. Maybe you know this already, but you actually do not have to read everything that is in school books. And especially when you are in university, you do not have to do it. My sister was the one that taught me that you actually just have to read the introduction and the summary of a book and pay good attention in class. And that is in most cases enough. And if you still do not understand something, then you can dive into the book and read. She was the one that didn't enjoy reading as much as I did. And therefore, she had come up with a strategy to avoid reading all the school books. And I am grateful that she taught me this at the time where I needed it the most. You don't have to read the whole book. When I did my executive MBA at London Business School, I applied this same strategy and to the fullest. I had a full-time job as a CEO, and I was flying between Iceland and London to go and study. And I don't think I read a single book to the end, only bits and pieces. And some books, I didn't even open. Yep, they are still unopened in my shelf. And actually, I think I've thrown them away or given them away and never read a single word. I just had to. I had a very busy job and something got to give. Something had to be compromised. And by paying very good attention in class and reading only bits and pieces, I got superb grades in my MBA. So the strategy worked perfectly. When I started my business, my perfectionism kicked in again. This time, my name was on the line. And the perfectionism that I thought I had gotten rid of came back full force. I thought I needed a cool website, beautiful logo, the perfect offerings and copy on my website, and so on and so forth. And I just constantly kept on being busy working on all these things instead of going out there and actually trying to attract some clients. One day, I realized I had nothing, absolutely nothing to show for all my work. The website wasn't accessible. There was no blog post that had been written. I had lots of ideas, but nothing had been done. And nobody, literally nobody, knew what I was doing. It also didn't help, or maybe actually it did, to see others take off on this entrepreneurial journey. They all, that was my perception, they all had something to show for it, and I didn't. The funny thing is, everyone knows me as an action taker. That's the funny part. But at that time, I was really struggling. It felt it had to be perfect before I went out there. And I wasn't actually sure what I was selling and who I was selling to. And that was holding me back. from getting things done. I got increasingly frustrated with myself. And out of this frustration, I finally was able to make a decision. I told myself, you have 2 days, 2 days to get this done. I jumped into the deep pool, as we say in Iceland. I wrote my first blog post. I switched the theme on my website one last time, and the website was out there in 2 days. It was not perfect by no means, but it was out there because I had pushed myself. And the weird thing is, it is easy once you decide to start. It is just like a single click in your head, and then you're ready to go and do whatever you couldn't do before you made that decision. I know this, and you know this, and still we beat ourselves up and postpone things that seem difficult from afar, but they are so easy once you decide to tackle them. At some point, I was frustrated enough with myself and finally realized what I actually needed to do was just write that first blog post, and then everything else would follow. In hindsight, the hardest part was not writing the blog post. It was taking the decision and accepting that things will never be perfect. And that anything I felt I needed to get done, that was actually stopping me from doing things. It was like a huge weight had been lifted off my chest. And I already got excited about writing my next blog post. I just wrote whatever came to my mind. I didn't worry about, oh, is this going to go viral? Are a lot of people going to read this? No, this is on my mind right now. This is what I am writing about. And actually, if it's on your mind, it's probably on somebody else's mind. When I look back and think about all the jobs, studies, and projects that I have taken on in my life, for most of them, I have jumped into the deep pool, and it has always worked out. I haven't always known how to do things until I've actually gone ahead and did it. The big difference was when I started to work for myself and have my own business. You have all these negative thoughts coming up. You criticize yourself much harder than if you're working for someone else. I call this the lizard brain. By giving it a distasteful name, I feel more in control. And I can even imagine how this lizard looks like. This voice that keeps on creeping up in your head and telling you negative things and keeps you away from doing the things that you should be doing or want to be doing. The purpose of fear is to protect us from danger, but 99% of the time, we are not in any danger. So why are we afraid? Well, we have this lizard brain, a term coined by Seth Godin. The lizard brain is a physical part of your brain. The prehistoric lump near the brain stem, I had to look this up, that is responsible for fear and rage and even reproductive drive. Here's my theory on the lizard brain. In the cave days, when we had to hunt for food, the lizard brain had a real function. When we experienced fear, we were actually 99% of the time in real danger. In modern times, the lizard brain doesn't need to protect us from danger, and instead, it's become this negative voice in our head. This is the voice that tells us to stay in bed when we know we should be getting up. This is the voice that makes us procrastinate on our projects again and again. This is the voice that makes us concerned about our abilities and credentials. This is the voice that makes us stick to old habits instead of learning new ones. This is the voice that tells us that we're not good enough for anything. This is basically the voice that stops us from following our dreams. How can we gain control over this voice? I have come up with a recipe that I suggest that you try out too. It has worked for me. It has helped me stop overthinking and start doing. The first step is to realize that this is not you talking, it's the lizard brain. And the second step It's to start to recognize what it's really saying. I recommend the following exercise. Put up an alarm that just randomly stops you in the middle of the day. Maybe it's every second hour. And when it rings, you immediately write down whatever the lizard brain was telling you. You put it in a notebook or a voice memo, whatever helps. But you have to do it right away, because at the end of the day, you will not remember what the lizard brain told you an hour ago or 2 hours ago. So you have to do it in the moment, right now. And that's why it's so crucial to use a timer. This is an amazing exercise. You will realize all the crazy things that the lizard brain is telling you, and you'll realize the bullshit. And you actually start to listen less. And then the lizard brain calms down. Yeah, maybe it even goes completely quiet. It notices that you're listening and will become less aggressive because, you're not listening to that shit. It only works if you follow through on that exercise. Do it for a day, do it for 2 days or a week, and it will work magically. The third step is to start to ignore it. Really, it's just blabbering along there, and you can start with simple tasks like getting up early in the morning or pushing through a project, even though the lizard brain is trying to tell you to do it tomorrow. And doing this a number of times takes the power away from the lizard brain. You start to hear less of the negative talk because, what's the point to do all this negative talk if you're not going to listen to it? You take the power away, and it empowers you to step up your game and work on new habits and feel better about yourself. The fourth step is facing your fears. When you want to follow your dreams, the lizard brain will go into fifth gear and try anything to hold you back. It will show its ugly face and wiggle its horrible tail in order to keep you on the spot. Now it's time for you to pull yourself together and show some courage. The more fear you feel, the more right your dream is, and the more important it is for you to follow through. The fifth step is to know that the lizard brain is not going anywhere. It is there to stay, and it's up to you to learn how to live with it without letting it stop you. My first blog post was called "Why Start Before You're Ready? It's the Only Way." That's exactly it. Things are never going to be perfect. The timing is never right. You'll never have all the resources you want, and you'll never have all the skills that you think you need. Still, if you want something badly enough, you still are able to push through and just do it. Stop overthinking and start doing today. How did this video help you today? Please share in the comments. And if you want to learn how to avoid self-sabotage, then watch this video. I hope you liked this video, and if so, please subscribe and share to anyone who might benefit.